positive mind leads to positive outcomes. This is a fact of life.
What's up, guys? Today I'm starting a new playlist. It's going to be focused around sketchbooks. This is episode 1 and hopefully a little bit of a series. So enjoy. Over the years, I've noticed a frightening echo bouncing back from the internet art community as I've perused YouTube. It's an echo because I've noticed it within myself and within my artist friends. Can you hear it? It's anxiety and trepidation over how to fill and complete a sketchbook. Hopefully by discussing and sharing tips and tricks with one another, we can curb some of the anxiety and fear around doing this. At least that's my goal with doing this video. I would rather journey through it with you guys and us conquer something together. Now, from what I understand, most of the fear in the community is about creating that first page. And obviously, I felt that anxiety myself. But I think there's some things we can do beforehand and otherwise to relieve that stress right off the bat. Preparations we can take before we even crack open the sketchbook. Now, this involves a little bit of, like I said, preparation of your mind, your heart, your body, your environment, and your materials that you plan to work with. When you can break it down like that, well, really anything in your life, it's kind of a key to life, actually. Breaking these things down into their compartmentalized parts, and then you're able to execute individual goals underneath those things. And that's how you accomplish a larger goal. So the first thing I would say in preparing yourself would be setting a mood. Now, that could be turning off the TV and just being at peace. That could be, listening to music or TV. It really depends on what works for you. Some people like to exercise to relax. Some people would rather do yoga or meditate, One of my favorites is to just run a warm bath and relax, light some candles, and maybe enjoy an adult beverage. Please obey the laws of your own state or country or wherever your locale is. I don't want to get demonetized before I'm monetized. Maybe if you have something you do to relax, if you want to share that in the comments, even if it makes you embarrassed, it may actually help somebody in the art community, and it may be something that's a breakthrough in psychology. If you have something that helps you relax, put it in the comments beneath and share that with us. I know when cracking open a sketchbook, it can feel like a creaky old door, insurmountable, if you will. But nothing really is. Nothing is insurmountable in life if you're willing to put in the work. So let's analyze the structure of the sketchbook. Here I have a couple of sketchbooks that we can talk about the differences and the similarities. And what that'll do is that will help us decide what kind of materials we're going to use to decorate it. I have a Stonehenge white, y'all are probably familiar with. Great for color pencils. I have this one that's actually being rebound. The cover came off, but it's hardback. I haven't started using it, but 100 GSM. For instance, this Strathmore Visual Journal, it's Bristol vellum. It's great for color pencils. One of the reasons I love it is it's hard bound. So looking at the spine, looking at the cover, looking at the paper within it, all of these things can start to draw a materials list just from what's acceptable on it. This is a cheaper one. It's got like a 70 GSM, white paper, soft back, ring bound. This one is leather bound, really decorative. See, with a sketchbook like this, I don't know that I'd want to decorate anything. It's a looker already. It's filled with canvas sheets. You guys can get any of the detail on this, but these things are very soft. I actually gessoed the pages a little bit and just sketched, some stuff on it, but it doesn't pick up pencils very well. So let the actual sketchbook inform the materials that you're going to use on it. take into account how heavy the paper is. If the paper is really heavy, then you can use wetter media on it. If it's not going to take pen well and will bleed through, you definitely don't want to put acrylics in it. Do a little bit of simple analysis of what you're going to be using it, how you're going to be using it, what it's actually made of, and let it inform, the materials you would want to use to decorate the cover and use to fill the inside. Once we've done that, we want to think about our goals, and we'll just go through these kind of loosely. Think about the goals for the sketchbook. Like the sketchbook I'm actually going to work on here in this video. I've already decided that I'm going to focus it on the creation, rendering, anatomy of hands. If you have an idea of what you're already trying to do with your book, you don't necessarily have to have one, but if you have an idea, that can also inform like the design that you'd want to put on the book. We want to design something that invites people in and entices them. Whatever you're comfortable with, use that to your advantage. These are tools you already have in your toolbox. All of these different things have an effect. If you're trying to work with watercolor, you're not going to want to choose some lightweight sketchbook that's just going to fall apart on you. So start off understanding those things. Then understand what your goals are. Am I going to study composition? Am I going to study application? Am I just using this for thumbnails? Let that also inform the choices that you're making here. But Charles, I don't share my sketch. I know it can be scary, but we're going to get through this together. I get it. I'm speaking from the heart here. I used to be the same way. In some ways, I very much still am the same way. I feel uncomfortable about sharing my sketchbooks. I feel like I'm being judged. But that's part of it, is maybe I need to take criticism better. So I'm opening up my sketchbooks to people now. So I want to make them inviting. Plus, you don't know, man. You may think it's trash, but maybe there's art in the trash. I mean, think about a recent artist who shredded part of their own painting at auction to prove a point. And it just went up in value. So with that said, you got your heart, your mind, your body, your materials, your environment. You've got your concept idea. You've got your materials ready and laid out in front of you. I think it is time that we get to decorating the cover. First, I'm going to clear my area and splay my sketchbook out. I grabbed some Daler-Rowney acrylic gesso and I start applying to the cover. So because we're treating this as if it is a page in the sketchbook, you can see this gesso is already warping this cover a little bit, and that's expected. It is a liquid on a paper. It is going to warp. So what I'm going to do here is right behind me, I have some of this Painter's frog tape. They're not sponsored or anything, but this stuff is fantastic if you're a creator. I use it all the time to hold down Bristol board when I'm doing drawings, to mark off parts of my canvases when I'm doing paintings. And all I'm going to do here is just take a little corner, like 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches, or by 1 inch or whatever, just pop it on the corner. We're going to let that dry. You could actually do this back surface as well. I'm actually not going to, and I will explain why at some other point. I begin adding more gesso layers. I switched to Liquitex Basics acrylic gesso because I ran out of my roller down. After 3 gesso layers, I add 2 coats of golden acrylics titanium white. You might want to make sure that you leave adequate drying time between the layers, that way it doesn't cut up. So guys, we've reached a point in here with the acrylic is still a little wet. I can tell that just by looking at the gloss on it. You can see there the sheen. And I am going to go ahead right here and just move that out of the way because I want to clean off the table underneath it. Now you could always take a piece of Bristol board or cardboard and cut it to the size of your cover here and just reinforce that piece of paper if you wanted to. I am not too worried about it. I don't decorate the outside of my sketchbooks too often.
I've chose to make this sketchbook about hands because the skill has always seemed to fit it well. I've decided to go with this mystical motif. It's always been kind of a thought of mine, if you can draw hands and feet well, then you must be involved in black magic. And since I'm into the paranormal, especially UFOs and ghosts, it's right up my The rugged nature of the cover informed my decision to use Sharpies as my cover medium. Like I said, they're difficult to work with at times, but once they are applied, they are on. I used a color erase non-copy blue to block out my lettering. And added hatching and outlines with other fine-tipped Sharpies and other Micron pens. I fill in the circle in the background and add 2 red fingerprints like the symbolic signature in blood.
So we finish our cover by adding a start date. You also have the opportunity on the other side or wherever else on your cover to add an end date, but I would not add one right off. I would leave a place for it. Trust me, you'll appreciate it more in the end. I know you might want to set a goal of an end date, but we can get to that in a minute. Right now, you just want to leave that spot open, and when you're actually completed with the book, then you want to put your end date. Now, if you've used some sort of material that needs to be sealed or varnished, I would do a little research on what would be best for that. For me, using the Gesso and Acrylic and Sharpie, I'm just going to use some Rust-o-leum clear matte finish that I would use on any acrylic painting. So it's a little late. I'm out here on my back porch, so I'm going to try to be a little quieter, but we've got my sketchbook here for hands, and we just finished up that front and put a little bit of swatching and stuff inside of it that we talked about. What I'm going to do now is hit it with some of this matte clear coat ultra color from Rust-o-leum. I'm going to hit it, just read the directions on the back. You try to keep it about 6 to 8 inches away from your surface. Spray a cover right to left or left to right, panning motion. get it to get a good cover. Let that sit for 30 minutes. Do it again, however many you think you need. I'm probably going to do 2 or 3, so I'm going to get into that real quick. We'll spray that a couple times, and then we should be good and protected so I can start to use this thing out in the world. Now we have a decorated cover. We can actually take and open up the sketchbook cover and look at the inside. The first thing I would suggest about doing the inside cover is putting on your contact information. After we've gotten our contact information, we may want to add our goals. Now, you can include long-term and short-term goals for your art career and for yourself personally, but I would suggest your goals be focused on you and that sketchbook. For instance, one of the goals I will be focusing on in this sketchbook is that I am learning the anatomy of hands in order to better create form, composition, and rendering. So now that you have a list of goals underneath there, the next thing I like to put down is positive affirmations. We can refer back to the beginning of the video when I talked about how a positive mind leads to positive outcomes. I truly believe this, and it is a key to life. Actually, in my opinion, positive affirmations help us change our mindset. We all hear a lot in the art world that we are our own worst critic, and I believe that to be true. But I also believe that we often tend to talk to ourselves like we wouldn't talk to any other human being. But I can speak from experience that often I talk to myself in a way that isn't appropriate. As if we can find ourselves in a downward spiral of negative thoughts, we can turn back to the front of our sketchbook and look at positive affirmations. After that, you can add any other like factoid, flair stuff you want. Have fun with it. It's a sketchbook. I like to add stickers to random pages. Part of the fun of creating is the experience of creating. That's where all the fun really lies. It's not really in the finished product. It may be beautiful to look at, but when it comes to an individual's personal value, the end product isn't really for us to judge. It's the journey in which we took to get there. So with your cover completed and varnished, your inside cover done, maybe you should swatch your materials. I'm not going to go into swatching. Everybody knows what swatching is. It is a good thing to use, and especially if you're trying out a sketchbook like I was talking about earlier with the book. These have canvas pages in it. Had I not laid down some number 2, HB lead, I wouldn't have known that maybe pencil wasn't the medium for the sketchbook. Now you're really getting into the sketchbook. Hey, look, man, we have a finished cover, inside and outside. We've decorated some of the inside. We've swatched out materials. Boy, howdy, we're ready to start a real first page. Now, if you hear your heartbeat starting to thump in your ears, then you probably need to take a breath and relax. I'm going to clue you in on something that could change the entire game. Skip it. If you're still freaking out, if you haven't gotten comfortable, if you're not ready to hit that first page, skip it. No one says you have to write anything on it. You have an original character, draw it. Start off with things you know, or simple things. Do a Zen doodle or Zentangle. What are those things called? Look them up. They're weird. I've never done it, but I can see how it could be effective. What I like to do sometimes is like drawing games. Write out the alphabet. Start off A, B, C, go through the alphabet, and then turn each one of those pieces of the alphabet into a mini drawing or a thumbnail. Like, there are all sorts of things you can do to loosen things up. Then how to fill it is easy. Do challenges. Studies. Study the anatomy. Copy another artist or master, or as Stan Prokopenko would say, your art parents. We learn through doing. Sketchbooks are about doing. They are evidence of doing. Art is evidence of life lived. Just start doing something. Google yourself something, Google you an image. Look up art prompts. do social media challenges, the hashtag 25 expressions or whatever. Just start filling out something. You have the basic knowledge of what you're trying to do. Don't worry about being overly organized. Have fun with it. Sketchbooks are a toolbox, but you have to, put knowledge in there in order for it to come back to you. It's for honing skills so that you can eventually take those skills and those tips and techniques and reapply them. So it may not look clean the whole way through. It shouldn't be clean the whole way through. You're not designing a coffee table book. It's a sketchbook. So maybe I can take a breath and we can all take a breath and we can relax and we can, open a book and start drawing in it. Now, I'm not the best at this either. And if you have any other ideas of things you use to start a sketchbook, I'm still going to do videos like this. If you enjoy this kind of content, please like and subscribe. Drawing means so much to me. Art means so much to me. I believe that practice makes perfect, for real. I've had that spoken to my heart as a truth. And I believe sketchbooks are a physical representation of the practice that we're putting in. They're an essential part of growing if you want to get better as an artist. I love you guys. I appreciate your time. You know what to do. Social media links in the credits. And we will talk to you guys soon.